Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. The weekend starts early. The Saints and the Panthers at Charlotte. It's a Thursday night game, and it's a short week for the Saints off of a Sunday night game. And tough scheduling, Lenny, but the Saints seem to be at least as healthy as they were last weekend.
Yeah, they came out of Sunday night well, and who exactly won't play? It looks like we're probably looking at the same situation running back wise. If Kyrie Robinson is able to play, which I don't think will be the case, it will likely be on a minimal basis. It means we'll see a lot of Mark Ingram again after a solid performance on Sunday night. If he can repeat that, you've got to believe that the Saints have a chance to win. And another thing to consider in this game, there could be some weather in the forecast as well. Could see some rain. If you remember last year in Charlotte, which was obviously a huge game late in the season, weather was a factor as well. We had a brief monsoon that kind of came down. Drew Brees was, I think, even wearing gloves to play at one point, which was a big deal. But I think that these guys are prepared for any of the variables that get thrown at them, whether it's scheduling or it's weather or it's injuries, things like that. They know how to handle these things.
Well, the Saints, of course, a slight favorite in the game, and Carolina gives up 5.2 yards per rush, which is the worst in the NFL, so the Saints will be looking for balance and running the ball again in this one. Friday night, Halloween night, of course, high school football galore. We'll get into that in a moment, but Tulane plays on Friday night at home against Cincinnati at Yulman Stadium, and Munchie Lego may get the start in that game for Cincinnati, coming home from Edna Carr and coming off a very serious injury. And, of course, Tanner Lee will be back for Tulane at quarterback.
Yeah, Lee will be back. It's sounding like that if Gunnar Keel, the one-time LSU commitment who has made his travels around and is now at Cincinnati, if he can go, he will start, but both quarterbacks will play, according to Tommy Tuberville. So at some point, we are going to see Munchie Lego, who, of course, we'll have a lot of people there, and it's a great story. A 6th-year senior getting another chance for that senior year after that gruesome injury early in the year, a year ago, and getting a chance. And he coming in a spot situation last week when Keel re-injured his ribs, he went 14 for 15. So he showed himself very well in that spot. Tulane, if they can play like they did the two previous games, and that is, kind of control things offensively, not get too crazy. And they did very well on offense with Tanner Lee at the helm early in the year, minus the turnovers, if you will. But if they could play like they did on the defensive side especially, Tulane's got a fighter's chance in this game.
LSU has a weekend off prior to the big game with Alabama. LSU clearly a better football team with the last two performances against Kentucky and against Ole Miss. Of course, Ole Miss in the top 4 in the first poll released, of course, and that's pretty interesting to look at where they're at right now. And I kind of like it, Lenny, because it puts less weight on what you've done lately and more weight on what you've done the whole season.
It's as it should be. It's not, there shouldn't be a last game factor in this thing, and it should be your entire body of work. And look, I like the idea of creating conversation. There's still 6 weeks to go, and a lot of these teams still have to play each other. Of these 16 or 17 teams that are out there with no losses or one loss, just about every one of them's got a game against one of the other teams. This thing is going to play out on a field. In effect, the playoff has already begun, and that it's going to play out. And in all likelihood, the 4 teams that went out the rest of the way are going to be the 4 teams that we see come January 1st.
Yeah, the SEC teams will beat each other off, and right now, Las Vegas has Alabama as the team most likely to make it, and that's understandable given who they've played and who they are and what they've done in years past. We'll see how that works out. From the standpoint of high school football, of course, a big weekend starts on Thursday night, continues on Friday night with a whole bunch of big games, and the first NBC Bank Prep Showcase continues with another outstanding Catholic League matchup on Saturday.
Yeah, Jesuit Brother Martin. You can watch it live here at SportsNola.com, 1 o'clock Saturday. We'll have the re-air for you at noon on Sunday. Look, no Saints game to worry about on Sunday. You can tune in and watch some great prep football. It's a 3-way battle for the title in the Catholic League. Rummel beat Jesuit last week. It's Jesuit Brother Martin this week. We'll have Rummel Brother Martin for you next week. So it's all going to get decided on the field, just like on the college end. It's going to play itself out here at the end.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it. Check out the original Friday night, 6 p.m. until midnight coverage, of course, with our scoreboard at sportsnola.com, which everybody comes to, and partner with the Advocate, too. So check that out. Enjoy the show. Reports from all over the state, analysis, you name it. That's prep football. And then finally, the Pelicans, they open their season with a solid win over Orlando, an outmanned team. But what a performance by Anthony Davis. What a performance by Omar Ashik, and obviously that's what you want to see, a front line that can be very productive.
Yeah, and Davis with a performance that we've seen never on opening night before. One time this century with the numbers that he put. I was 26, 17, and 9 blocks. Crazy numbers. You know, and you've seen some things out there. Anthony Davis is ready to establish himself as the third best player in the NBA behind LeBron and Kevin Durant. And, you know, that's not too far-fetched at this point. It's really not. And, you know, the guy is everything to this franchise, and he's a very likable guy and very personable, and, you know, it presents himself great, and on the court he's just a monster, and he certainly showed that Tuesday night.
Sure did, and of course they've got Dallas coming up Saturday night this weekend at home at Smoothie King Center. That's our First NBC Bank Weekend Preview, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNoah.com. Lenny, have a great weekend.
All right, we'll see you Monday.
And for Lenny, I'm Kenny. Thanks for joining us, and God bless you.